Good afternoon. This is Tim Thiessen Live, broadcasting from the Tire District in beautiful Fresno, California. Boy, do we have a show for you today. Our guests are going to be Jim Witlach from Guarantee Real Estate, Neil Zerlang, a land surveyor from Tulare County, talking about flood maps and important things, and then Michael Harris from the Brotherhood of the Badge. You're going to learn a lot on every segment of this show today. I want to welcome our folks that are listening on Comcast 10, Channel 43, Dish Network 43. A lot of new viewers, and just welcome to the show. And we're going to have a great time today. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time today, this is the message of this program is about hope, growth, and prosperity. Any direction that our government takes us other than that is the wrong direction. And knowledge is what empowers all of us to make good decisions in every day of our life. My first guest is Jim Witlach from Guarantee Real Estate. Jim, thanks for coming on board with us today. We have a veteran realtor with us today and a former talk show host in Phoenix. So this is going to be, we're going to have a lot of fun here. So Jim, if you would, introduce yourself to the audience and a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to talk about real estate.
Certainly. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you today. I've been a licensed realtor. I'm in my 32nd year, and I've been a broker since 1983. I currently work with Guarantee Real Estate as the manager of the Clovis office and also as an active agent with the book of business.
Well, great, Jim. I'm a Guarantee Real Estate agent also, and so we're every segment of this program we're trying to do something real estate related. Today we're doing two
Certainly.
segments. Absolutely. What's happening out of your office in Fresno and the Valley in general? Just your take on where we're at in this dynamic market that we're experiencing right now.
Let me add one more tag to that. I currently serve for the year 2011 as the Fresno Association of Realtors president. So I'm up front as a spokesperson for the association, and a lot of the information, most of what I receive and what I report on is actually taken from the data that we have accumulated within our multiple listing service. The marketplace itself is still in transition. There's been many forecasters that have said we reached the bottom as far as the pricing on the marketplace, and unfortunately that is not the case. We're getting closer to the bottom. Last year, from approximately February through February, we had a decrease of approximately 9%, Tim, overall.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even in the South Valley where I work, and I sell residential, agricultural, and commercial. In the residential sector, depending on certain neighborhoods in certain towns, we saw our comparables drop by about 7% from December the 15th to February 15th. But now it's kind of planed a little bit.
Certainly.
and it's just trying to something that's come up a lot. And by the way, for our viewers on the internet, if you have any questions for myself or for our guest today, please ping those in here, and we'll be try to help you. Is the big issue right now is what happens when interest rates go up, and eventually they're going to have to.
To answer that question directly, interest rates go up normally, and historically the market slows down somewhat. We live in a time when we're under a 5% interest rate. Quote this morning was approximately 4 3/8% for a 30-year fixed FHA. Any of us that have been in the business since the early 80s can remember when interest rates, if they were single digit, we were elated because they were normally up in the upper double digit, even up to 21%. So we can remember times when, at that point in time, what was happening was prices were escalating and interest rates were not decreasing. So we had high interest rates and we had high pricing, and it was very difficult to conduct business. Today, different set of circumstances, very low interest rates, prices have receded. The affordability index, which is how many people can actually purchase a home, has risen to an 80% factor. So we have 80% of the people in our local market that can purchase homes with reduced prices of the properties that are available and having interest rates that's historically low. Never been this low before.
Oh, absolutely. And as a practicing realtor, is what it's really done is, every crisis, every problem brings opportunity if you keep your eyes open. And what I've seen in our market, the South Valley now, we are getting a whole new class of buyers.
Correct.
Coming in. 3 years ago, it would have been absolutely impossible for them to purchase a home. Right now, if you look at the cost of a mortgage, if you qualify, versus what you're paying in rent, I mean, you're able to own your own home now for less money than it costs you average monthly rent.
Certainly, I hate to use the terminology perfect storm. This is really kind of a perfect buying time.
Oh, absolutely. And I've reminded some of my clients is naturally is not by design, but more by accident, I've ended up with a portfolio of a lot of first-time buyers that I'm working with.
Exactly.
And, people are, I remember when I purchased my first home, I was 19 years old, and I was absolutely terrified. And if it wasn't for my dad really giving me a push in the back, says, this is what you need to do today, I would have probably never done it. But what happens is, I just tell folks that, life is going to change. You could own this home now. The market, whether it drops a little bit more, stays the same, increases a little bit more, but the key to your affordability index is going to be the interest rate that you pay. Absolutely.
No doubt about it. And historically in California, over the last 30 years, if someone held onto a property for 5 years, they received an appreciation of the property at approximately an average of 11% a year. We haven't seen that in the last few years. But economic conditions are going to change, and we're going to see at some point inflation, and we're going to see a drying up of the toxic property, so to speak. And when that happens, there will be supply and demand, and real estate values will increase. So whoever purchases today, hang on to it for 5 years. You're going to be glad that you made the decision.
What have you been hearing, Jim, as far as the next wave? I believe it's going to be smaller because we had several waves of properties coming on because of the way a lot of these loans were written, and two problems on those. One, you had banks writing paper they should have never written it, and then you had people signing contracts that they should have never obligated themselves to, and that really brought us to where we're at. And we had several waves that really damaged the market. Do you see another wave, or are we going to see more of a dribbling onto the market now of some of these distressed properties?
There are other waves, but they're being concealed. Their properties are not being distributed as they could be. We can't really define exactly where the problem is. However, it's the release of the properties by mortgage companies and banks. I think some of it's certainly their prerogative. They need to watch their bottom line and to release those as is advantageous and beneficial to their bottom line and their stockholders. So if all were released at one point, quite honestly, I think it would decimate the market again drastically. So we would like to see more inventory, obviously, being in the realty community, because we could use the additional units, and we could definitely have much more much more sales, many more sales, and certainly many more listing opportunities.
Okay, I don't mean to put you on the spot here,
Certainly.
Jim, but and if you don't know, because I don't know exactly what the dynamics are going to be, have you heard anything about the potential of what may happen to our lending environment, real estate environment, if and when the government does away with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac?
It's just all rhetoric at this point. There's a lot of jostling back and forth. We certainly know that Fannie and Freddie are costing the taxpayers literally billions of dollars to be in existence. There has not been, to my knowledge, an alternate source that is going to allow purchasing of FHA mortgages, for one thing, to free up additional monies. If it happens, it's reported to be a private concern, private business will do that. Some banks, that hasn't come about yet. So we still have a lot of balls in the air with no certain delivery time and what is going to happen.
Well, I've encouraged my congressman I said, look, you need to take a look at this thing. We need to reform that program, but in my opinion, you need to keep it in place. There's been some fraud, waste, and abuse in it, and that happens when bureaucracies just grow to all proportions like they seem to do at the federal and the state level. But that being said, I said, if you just reform, because I said this is a very important tool. I says, on one hand, you're telling us that you want to see more folks own homes. If you dry up our credit market, that's not going to happen. And so, I think it's going to be kind of a wait and see. That's what I'm doing, because just like you, I'm hearing conflicting stories, and we'll see what happens. In the foreseeable future here in the Valley, are we going to continue to be getting hit with these foreclosures like the rest of the state, or have you seen any numbers? I know you have some access in the MLS that a lot of folks don't have.
We're going to continue to be affected by it. There's three outlets for properties at this point. One is to the traditional seller. Mm-hmm. A lot of traditional sellers are at a point where what they need to get out of it, what they want to get out of it, isn't realistic what they can get out of it. Mm-hmm. The other two outlets are the REO, real estate-owned bank properties, which again are dribbling out. And the third type is what's known as the short sales, mm-hmm. where there's some compromises made. Ironically, the short sales, as far as the profitability on an average median price sale for the month of February in our area came in at $164,800. Traditional sellers came in at $146,900, and bank properties, median price, $113,000.
Really?
So the gold mine, really, I think, for the banks is to streamline the process to get it to an acceptable level, because I'm sure you're aware it's taking, in some cases, 3, 4, 5 months for the file to work itself through a bank. And by that time, whoever wanted the property and had agreed to purchase it is long gone. They're tired of waiting. So there's some dynamics that are going to have to be revisited and looked at seriously, not on our part, but by the institutions who have the opportunity to make a difference. It's, the crystal ball is what we all need to carry around with us and say, okay, this is mine today and this is what it looks like. I think with the number of properties that have been at least given within information in our area and the entire economy, it's probably going to take us 3 to 5 years to get squared away. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it happening any sooner.
Yeah, and some of these problems, it's just going to take time, and I've told it,
yes.
A lot of my clients too is, one way or the other. As a realtor, I've been a practicing realtor now for approximately 8 years, but I've been involved in real estate transactions and various things, most of my adult life, and it comes and goes. The
Certainly.
house that Barbara and I live in right now, purchased it in 1998. Those were hard days in real estate. We were selling in a depressed market,
yes.
buying in a depressed market. After we closed that sale, the market dropped off a little bit more. And, but even if you're negative on equity, if you still have your job and you're able to make your payments over time, once again, we're going to be, seeing this thing turn around, and it's going to take a little time to clean this thing up because we've had some other dynamics here. But just like in the short sales, also, you're talking about time frames. I must say, from personal experience, I just finished one up, and I've got another one I think we'll be wrapping up here in about 3 weeks, I hope. And those have been, compared to some time frames, have been relatively short. Like 3 months. It's amazing.
That's an express transaction.
My shortest one was 5 weeks, start to finish. My longest one was 1 week short of a year.
Sure. Oh, almost an anniversary.
And so it's to the point you just end up losing your buyers. They can't wait.
Sure.
They have needs and everything else. So anyway, we're getting ready to go to a break. Jim, I want to thank you for coming on board today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with
and
you.
We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to be right back with Neil Zerlang. Stay tuned. Thank you.